In Baldur's Gate 3, our hero's journey begins after a questionable Mind Flare surgery. We are then ambushed by this green Xenon warrior-looking princess. Now in this moment, I was a little scared, but also, she's pretty cute. So the question is, what do we do with her in our honor mode playthrough? Well, we bring her with us. We meet her family, and gosh darn it, I think we got ourselves a green girlfriend. And the rest, well, the rest is history. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Today we're going to be making our Githyanki Eldritch Knight that we used on our honor mode playthrough. Now, just to get this out of the way, we're not going to be using Shadowblade. That's not what we used during our playthrough. Now, this is how the video is going to break down. There's going to be timestamps below. We're going to be moving a little bit quick because it's a holiday weekend, so consider hitting that like and subscribe button, especially if you're new, and yeah, let's get started. Now, starting off with character creator, the race you have to pick is Githyanki. We're obviously just going to be going with Lae'zel. Now, as a Githyanki, we get the action Astral Knowledge, so we gain proficiency in all skills of a chosen ability. Your abilities are Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. I would just set this to Wisdom because Wisdom is tied to Perception, and there's a lot of Perception checks in this game. And this will last until long rest, so do this as soon as, again, you're done long resting. Really good as a Githyanki. We also get a few spells. So at first here we get this cantrip, or the cantrip, Mage Hand, but we can only use this once per long rest. So keep that in mind. Other than that, the class we're going with is obviously Fighter, and for our bonus action, we get Second Wind, which is a nice little heal. For our fighting style, I would either go with Defense, which is going to bump up our armor class by 1, or I would go with Great Weapon Fighting, which if we roll low as far as our damage, we get to re-roll our damage dice again, but it doesn't necessarily prevent us from rolling low twice, if that makes any sense. Either way, it's going to be a net positive for your damage, or just a little bit more defense with your AC. I like defense a little bit better. Background is already locked in at Soldier. Now, your ability spread, I would go with something like this. Obviously, prioritize Strength. I'm putting it at 17 because I'm setting us up for our feats. And one of our feats we're going to get is going to bump our strength up by 1. So it'll be 18 by then. Other than that, having high dexterity as far as like 14. Same thing with Constitution. And then the rest into Wisdom, because Wisdom, there's a lot of checks that can go against you that you want to at least have something in Wisdom. Something like Hold Person. That can be a pain in the ass if you don't have a high Wisdom. Now, because we are choosing Eldritch Knight as our subclass, you would think we want a high intelligence, but none of the spells that we're taking are going to rely on intelligence. So we actually don't need any intelligence. I'm just kind of dumping our remaining 2 ability points into intelligence, but you can take charisma if you want as well. But that is character creator out of the way. Let's go ahead and head to the leveling section. Now, moving on to the leveling section, I think we can one-shot this. At level 2, we get Action Surge, which is going to give us an extra action. This comes back off of a short rest. Amazing for Fighter here. Moving on to, ooh, a little tushy shot there. You ever notice that about the Githyanki armor? Very breezy in the back. Anywho, sidetracked. Level 3 here, we pick up our subclass. We're going with Eldritch Knight. Cantrip wise, lock this one in, totally mandatory. Get it, get it, get it. That is Booming Blade. This thing has basically reshaped how a lot of builds work when this was added during the final patch. Booming Blade is amazing. It almost turns into like a mini smite that's a cantrip. Lock that in. Other than that, we already have a way to get Mage Hand, so I wouldn't take that as your other cantrip. I would go with something either like Minor Illusion or even Light. This can be helpful later on. I'm just going to go with Minor Illusion. For the actual spells that we're taking, Shield is a great reaction, and then having Thunder Wave as a push, just for the pushing aspect, is also really handy. I also want to note something like Mage Armor. If you have a mage in your party, you can cast Mage Armor on them and save them from having to use a spell slot. Because let's be honest, as an Eldritch Knight here, we're actually not going to be using too many of our spell slots. Like, we have plenty to work with. So maybe save a spell slot for one of your spellcasters. For right now, yep, I'm just going to take Mage Armor. We do get an expanded list here. If you don't have somebody that can give you Enhanced Leap or Longstrider, I would take that. These are probably my 2 favorite options out of the list here. Something like Magic Missile can also be really good just to guarantee damage if you really need to get an enemy down. And again, we also have Thunder Wave. I'm just going to take Enhanced Leap, even though we'll get this as a Githyanki. We'll only be able to use it once per long rest, so this is going to make it a ritual for us where we can use it all the time. Now, moving on to level 4. Level 4, we get our first feat, but first let's pick up our next spell slot. I am going to lock in Thunder Wave. This is extremely helpful, especially with Action Surge. So if you really need to push something, you'll get 2 shots at it, so long as you have the spell slots. Now let's talk about our feats. We're going to get 4 feats as a fighter. Level 4, 6, 8, and 12. First feat I would always go with is Great Weapon Master, just for the class feature alone, with the ability to swing again with your bonus action as long as you get a critical hit or you defeat a target. That unlocks then, yes, again, using your bonus action to swing again. This doesn't need to, this is applied to you even if you don't have the extra damage toggled on. So I would actually take the Great Weapon Master feat and put it on your hotbar to toggle on and off depending on the situation. Because early in the game here, you're going to be struggling with your attack rolls, and having that -5 penalty, you're going to feel it. Especially if this character doesn't have something like Bless or anything else on them to help out with their attack rolls, then maybe you'd have it toggled off. But again, I think just the feature here to weaponize your bonus action makes this feat very desirable as your first pickup. Other than that, your next feat that I would definitely lock in would be something like Athlete. This is because our strength here is at 17. This is going to make our jump distance increase by 50%. So this is a double feature when it comes to a feat. So we're going to bump up our strength. That's going to round it up to 18. And then our jump is going to be crazy. The distance is going to be crazy long. And this is going to be a great way for us to move around the battlefield without having to use a spell slot on something like Misty Step or something else. So this is going to just give our bonus action great mobility for this class because we want to be in melee range. So those are the two first feats that I would kind of dance between. After that, at level 8 and level 12, I would just go with something like ability improvement and give ourselves even more strength. And then the last feat, or the level 8 feat, another choice here would be Alert. I would definitely lock in Alert. I had everybody in my party with Alert, but Lae'zel did not have Alert, and I felt the difference. It did not feel good to have her separated from the group as far as when they were going in the turn order. And so I would definitely just lock in Alert here. It's very helpful, and I was just, again, a world of difference when I gave her Alert. The one that I had her on initially was Savage Attacker. Now this does give you a net positive as far as your damage, but again, being in a different spot in the turn order later down the line, I don't think it's worth it. I like to have all my characters in the same block, really maximize the action economy with your characters working all together, and the best way to do that is just, again, Alert. So those are kind of the feats I would go with. At level 4 here, we are going to be going with Great Weapon Master, and now we can move on to the rest of leveling. Now at level 5, we do get extra attack, which is amazing for every martial character, and we also pick up, as a Githyanki at level 5, we pick up Misty Step. This is once per long rest, so keep that in mind. Also, as an Eldritch Knight, at any point we can replace our spells if you want to do that between levels. If you just find yourself not using something, or you prefer having something like, I don't know, Grease if you have like a Fire Mage. Anyways, you can do that as well. Moving to level 6, we're going to get our second feat a little earlier than everybody else. Suck it, nerds. I don't know who I'm saying that to, but we're going to take Athlete. Our strength is now at 18, and at this point in the game, you're going to be reaching Act 2, or pretty close to Act 2, maybe even level 7. We'll hold off until level 7, because I want to mention an item that you really should get for a strength-based character. Now, at level 7 here, let's go through the leveling first. Subclass feature, we do get War Magic. So, you have honed your body and magic for War. After you cast a cantrip, aka Booming Blade, you can make a weapon attack using your bonus action. So even if Great Weapon Master doesn't proc our bonus action to be used as an attack, War Magic will every single time as long as we open up with Booming Blade. This is perfect synergy between the Eldritch Knight, Booming Blade, and obviously this subclass feature. We also unlock our level 2 spells, level 2 spell slot. And the spell that I would go with maybe something like Shatter to help out with those seeing eyes that they are vulnerable to thunder damage. Just to have somebody else that can do it, that can be really good. Other than that, maybe take Arcane Lock. I really don't have a strong opinion on our level 2 spell slots, but again, you can always just replace them between levels if you find something that you don't like. Now, at this point in the game, again, you're going to be probably in Act 2. I would definitely go to Moonrise and get that potion from the drow vendor in there, and that way, at this point in the game, our strength for our Githyanki here would be up to 20 by Act 2. And that is amazing. It's going to be really strong. And then when we eventually pick up our ability to score improvement, our strength is going to be bumped up to 22. Meaning the gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength that are in Act 3 that set your strength to 23, not going to be useful for our character here, meaning we can use any of the other amazing gloves in the game. So definitely prioritize getting that potion for, again, your strength character, in this case, our Eldritch Githyanki Knight. I don't know why I said it like that. Anyways, level 7 here, or level 8 here, we're going to get our another expanded spell. And the ones that I would kind of go between, there's a few good ones. Something like Mirror Image, this is really good. Magic Weapon as a concentration to help out with our attack rolls, and then that +1 to damage. This is what we went with. Misty Step, this is also amazing, but we have mobility kind of handled with our athlete, and then we do have one Misty Step we get to use as a Githyanki. Next feat, we're going to be bumping up it depends. At level 8 here, if everybody else in your party is taking Alert, I would take Alert now. If you're holding off on Alert, then I would go with Ability Improvement, and then you're pumping up your Strength. We're going to do that for right now, and then move on to level 9. Now at level 9, I unfortunately needed some water. We pick up the class feature Indomitable, so we become very durable. Whenever you fail a saving throw, we get to roll again. This is kind of like having advantage on saving throws. This is really good because, again, a lot of control spells in the game, and we don't want to be failing those. So that's level 9. Let's move on to level 10. And at level 10, we get to pick up another cantrip, but first, subclass features. It's more important. We get Eldritch Strike. When we hit a creature with our weapon, it has disadvantage on the next saving throw from our spell until the end of your next turn. This is a good way to set up something like Hold Person, but honestly, we didn't use this too much. Now, we also gain another cantrip. At this point in the game, you can pick whatever you want. I'm just going to pick, actually, Friends, sure. Spell-wise, again, at this point in the game, pick whatever you want. I'm maybe just going to go with Darkness. Sure, that could be helpful as well. Let's move on to level 11. And at level 11, we become an absolute monster, essentially. We get our improved extra attack, 2 additional swings after our initial attack, meaning we get 4 strikes with our sword, or our weapon here, in this case a sword, every single turn without a potion of speed, without having haste on us, without using action surge. This makes Eldritch Knight absolutely almost like busted. Definitely elevates them probably to, I was going to say the strongest fighter, but there's also Arcane Archer. I think I've come around and thinking that maybe Eldritch Knight is a little better than Battle Master now, but I'm not willing to admit that just yet. We do get another spell. Again, at this point, pick whatever you want. And then one more level 12 here. We're just going to get another feat. We're going to take Alert, which is going to give us +5 to our initiative, and we can't be surprised. And that's the leveling out of the way. Let's head on over to the equipment section. Now, moving on over to the equipment section, I will have each item that we talk about here linked down below if you want to find the exact location, but we're going to move kind of fast, going act by act. For your weapon slot, let's start there. The Everburn Blade, you get this in the tutorial area. This is going to do an extra 1d4 fire damage, so that extra damage, the main appeal of this weapon here. But also something like the Sword of Justice, you can get really early on, but for that +1 enchantment, so it's going to help out with your attack rolls. Now, a weapon we didn't initially get, but I went back for, is the Hammer Raft. So when we jump, we're going to deal 1d4 thunder damage and a 3 meter radius to enemies and allies alike. This is a way to weaponize your bonus action, but while you're traversing around, this can be very annoying because you're going to hit your allies unless you toggle this effect on and off, which can be a little micromanagey. Not a lot of people are going to like that. Now, why we are making a Githyanki build specifically is because of weapons like this, the Githyanki Greatsword. So if a Githyanki is wielding this weapon, you're going to do an extra 1d4 psychic damage. There are a few pieces of equipment in this game that synergize with this race specifically, and that's kind of what we're, tailoring this build for and what we focused on in our honor mode playthrough. But this weapon here, really good for Act 1. Now moving into our secondary here, Bow of Awareness. If nobody else is using this, this is kind of one that I always talk about. Head slot here, Helmet of Haste, going to help out with our movement. Really I would say nothing really noteworthy as far as your chest piece here. Just pick whatever you can. And then the Gloves of the Growling Underdog, we're going to get advantage with our attack rolls as long as we're surrounded by 2 enemies. If we're in the front line, this should be really no problem. These boots here are going to help out with our jump distance as well. We're just going to be a jumping machine going crazy distance. Now, Aberration Hunter's Amulet. With being a Githyanki, we're going to get advantage on intelligence saving throws, which can be helpful. And then Aberrations also have disadvantage on attack rolls against us. So this is, again, another Githyanki piece of equipment. For our ring slot, Crusher's Ring, movement speed, kind of just go hand in hand. Anything else from Act 1, like the Amulet of Misty Step? This is again just going to give us more Misty Steps, even though we have one at our disposal when we hit level 5, but that's all of the Act 1 equipment that I would suggest. Quickly moving to our Act 2 equipment and changing how Lae'zel works. We did forget some things in Act 1 because there's so many pieces of equipment in this game, but the Circlet of Psionic Revenge, the Grimforge equipment, so the helmet here, and then the Adamantine Splint Armor, these are all excellent. Now moving into the Act 2 equipment that we have equipped right now, we have the Flawed Helldust Helm, we have the Cloak of Protection, we have the Flawed Helldust Armor, the whole Helldust set really, and then the Evasive Shoes, and for our main hand weapon here, we're going to change into the Charge-Bound Warhammer. All of this you actually get at Last Light Inn, so big power jump as far as equipment when it comes to our Eldritch Knight right there very early on in Act 2. Now continuing on with Act 2, the Amulet of Harpers, this actually isn't something that I think this build specifically needs, but it's just universally good to have. Now the Ring of Free Action, so we can't be paralyzed or restrained. This is something I would lock in with this build here, and then also the Risky Ring. The Risky Ring is amazing for every martial character, and I can think of none better to have it on than our Githyanki Eldritch Knight. Now some other weapons we get. The Soulbreaker Greatsword, again, because we're Githyanki, we get that extra added damage, and then we also get +2 to our initiative rolls. Love this sword here. There's also the Darkfire short bow here, which there's no reason why you can't have your Eldritch Knight use a bow and arrow, specifically something like Roaring Thunder arrows or arrows of many targets, because you think of Eldritch Knight, you're like, oh, well, we'll use the magic side, but don't forget, you can use a bow, and arrows are extremely powerful in this game. Some other pieces of equipment you maybe want to consider, the Psionic Ward Armor, or even the Reaper's Embrace from Ketheric at the very end. A lot of good options in Act 2, and really just the sky's the limit, or there's going to be even more pieces of equipment in Act 3, so let's put those on as well. Switching over to our Act 3 equipment, I gotta say, I think Act 2 with the Helldust set, the Flawed Helldust set, we looked a lot better, at least it looks more badass, but nonetheless, the Act 3 equipment, we have something like the Helm of Baldur. I think this works well with the build, and then the Armor of Persistence, we're going with the Helldust Gloves, and then the Boots of Persistence. Now, as far as our amulet and rings, I would really just lock in exactly what we had from Act 2, and we're going to be completely fine. Weapon-wise, technically in Act 3, you're going to get something like Nirulna earlier, but if we go to Ketheric at the brothel and make the deal with Raphael, and making the deal with Raphael, spoiler, there's really no repercussions for doing that. We talk to Voss afterwards, and we have the hammer. He will give you this sword. This is the best sword for this build. It's amazing, and again, you can get it very early on in Act 3. Gonna make Lae'zel here an absolute monster. Another noteworthy weapon here would be Baldur's Giant Slayer. This is really good too, but again, for our Githyanki Eldritch Knight, I kind of just like the Astral Plane sword here, the silver sword. It's amazing. Plus lore-wise, lore, story. Other helmets, the Mask of Soul Perception for that benefit to attack rolls. And then some of the other gloves, the Legacy of the Masters. Depends on how many other martial characters you have in your party, but I would definitely be, juggling between this, the Legacy of the Masters and the Helldust Gloves as my choice there. I will note the Frost Giant Strength Gauntlets here, but again, if you take that potion in Act 2, you're not going to need these gloves. Something we did not pick up in our playthrough are these boots here, and I think these are really good for the build we're going for. They would have made it more complete. Are they necessary? No, but if you're going through a playthrough, consider picking up these boots. Now, these are all the kind of pieces of equipment we juggled between during our playthrough, and there's actually probably a couple more that I'm not thinking of, but yeah, a lot of options. You can make basically all of this work or miss out on a couple pieces and it's still gonna work. This build is extremely strong. But now let's keep on our really good stuff and go find some enemies to smack the crap out of. Now for the gameplay, we're just gonna fight these flaming fists because, well, there's a fair amount of them. We'll give them a shot because we'll go for this archer first, and that'll alert all of them. But as far as prep skills for this setup here, always find your weapons so that way you can never be disarmed. And if you know you're going into a fight where mobility might be in question, you can use Enhanced Leap on yourself. But remember, as a Githyanki, we have our own Enhanced Leap, but again, once per long rest, same with our Mage Hand, same with our Misty Step. And then other than that, maybe Magic Weapon or a Concentration. And other than that, I think we're ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and get the party started. We are very powerful, and we're probably gonna make quick work of these guys. Just waiting for it, Lae'zel. Yeah, good strike. They're not too happy with that. Let's get it started. Now we have, obviously our initiative is going to be the highest because we have, whatchamacallit, we have our feat alert. Now we also, with this sword, we have Soulbreaker. Oh yeah, it's going to absolutely annihilate this archer here. Oof. It's good knowing you for the short period. Not the point. And actually, before we get right up in their faces, just look how far we can jump. I'm not going to say jump is better than Misty Step, but this is really, really great mobility just because also it only costs a bonus action. We're not using a spell slot for it. Love jumping around. In this situation here, we really don't need to jump that far. We can get right into the front line. So let's continue on. And we're going to use Booming Blade. 91% chance to hit. Man, if we could get a crit, that'd be fantastic. That'd be a lot of damage, but oof. This guy's already dead. We're basically going to chew through all these guys. Whoa. Whoa there, cowboy. Trying to riposte us, thinking you're some sort of battle master? Thankfully, we have our reaction shield. Not gonna hit us. Got anything else? I didn't think so. Let's go ahead and Booming Blade him. Oh. He tried really hard. And let's move on to our next target. Hit you once, and it's like, oh man. Our turn is over, but wait, we have our bonus action. Bop. Oh, you survived by the skin of your teeth. I don't really know what that means. Your teeth don't have skin. That's not the point. Anyways, action surge. And we're still going. Overkill. Next up. Keep swinging away, Marty. Oh, it's not even fair. Good luck, guys. Good luck hitting us. Not gonna happen. Oh, how dare you. How dare you. They're not even hurting us. We're gonna recast shield again? Oh, you know what? This is a glitch. Or this is a visual bug that we have shield on ourselves because we don't. Now we do. This game has all sorts of charm still to it. Anyways, let's end this fight. Gonna miss that. A riposte? That was rude as hell. Again, rude as hell. Keep swinging. Well, looks like you two dummies get to live for another turn. So be it. Try to knock us over. Sometimes these guys will try to disarm you, or at least the fighter NPCs, but that's not going to happen with our Eldritch Knight. Now we're using those reactions for shield whenever they come up. You really don't have to. Damn, this guy's a trooper. You know what, dude? A little respect, but you're dead anyways. Oh, and this one's not going to last much longer. That was really short. Definitely a machine. Your Githyanki Eldritch Knight is just a monster on the front line. Just swinging over and over and over again. But alright, y'all, that is the build, that is the video, that is how we made our Githyanki Eldritch Knight for our honor mode playthrough. And again, they were an absolute monster. But that's not the only way to make Eldritch Knight. You can make them into a throwing build. You can have them utilize something like Shadow Blade. Eldritch Knight is truly just one of those like S tier classes in the game that require absolutely zero multi-classing. So if you feel like you have an open slot on your roster, consider adding Lae'zel on your team. She also has like one of the best stories in the game. Anyways, y'all, let me know what you think about Eldritch Knight and how you like to build them out. And then yeah, that's a video. If you made it this far, I appreciate the hell out of you, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace and take care. Also, we're streaming, so come say hi. That's all. Okay, bye.